Africa took center stage at the beginning and end of the year. In January, France intervened in Mali to stop a militant insurgency there. And then, nearly 12 months later, the world said goodbye to one of Africa's greatest leaders, Nelson Mandela. Before all that, we start with a deadly attack on a Kenyan mall. September 21st, just another routine day at the posh Westgate shopping mall in Nairobi, Kenya's capital and business hub. But what should have been a relaxing day turned into a nightmare as heavily armed militants stormed the compound and started shooting people on sight. There was panic, mayhem, and confusion as people ran for their lives, trying to escape while others hid, hoping to avoid the gunmen.
Shooting on the ground floor, and slowly they're going up and up. I went up to Chipa, and they came till there. Somehow some police has rescued us. The situation is very bad inside.
Kenyan police and security forces quickly surrounded the compound and bit by bit tried to retake the vast mall. Many escaped by themselves or with the help of police. But a large number did not survive. Many spoke of the shooters killing at random or picking out anyone who wasn't a Muslim. A Somali group calling itself Al-Shabaab was quick to claim responsibility. It said the action was revenge for Kenya helping the Somali government and its war against the group, which has been linked to other terror attacks as well as piracy off Somalia's coast. On the night of the 23rd of September, there was a lull in the firing, but it resumed in the early morning. As the day progressed, police said that all hostages had been released, and they were conducting a final sweep of the complex as the Interior Ministry released a statement that said the 4-day-long assault was very near the end. That day, Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta announced the end of military operations, saying 61 civilians and 6 members of the security forces had died. He promised full accountability for the destruction, deaths, pain, loss, and suffering endured by so many people. Still, many questions remain unanswered. There were reports that Kenyan authorities were warned the Al-Shabaab group could try some retaliatory attack on Kenya and that a shopping center like Westgate could be a potential target. Then there's the question of how heavily armed militants managed to cross the border in Kenya and emerge in Nairobi. There were also later reports that the number of attackers wasn't as many as the number claimed by Kenyan authorities. Above all, the incident highlighted the ongoing struggle to contain militant groups in parts of Africa, an apparent breeding ground for these new insurgencies. The idea that Africa was the new breeding ground for militants took hold in January, when rebels with ties to Al-Qaeda began to overrun government forces in Mali. On January 11th, the French military began operations against the Islamists, with Paris claiming immediate success. Forces from other African Union states were deployed soon afterwards as territory taken by the rebels was reclaimed by the coalition. By February, the Islamist-held territory had been retaken with help from the international coalition. A peace deal between the government and rebels was signed in June. But by the end of September, the rebels pulled out of the agreement and claimed that the government had not respected its commitments to the truce. And just weeks later, in a reminder of how dangerous the country remained, 2 French journalists were killed by militants in northern Mali. In December, Africa said farewell to arguably its greatest leader, Nelson Mandela, who died after a long battle with a lung infection. His triumph against the apartheid regime of South Africa inspired millions and gave hope to people struggling for freedom in other parts of the world. World leaders gathered in South Africa to salute the man who sought to bridge the gap between black and white and unite all South Africans in a rainbow nation. But we said goodbye to other famous names, including former British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher in April. Nicknamed the Iron Lady, she dominated the political scene in the 1970s and the 80s. Her politics promoted economic liberalism while rolling back the state. She also has a special place in Hong Kong's history, having negotiated the eventual settlement which saw the territory return to China in 1997. But the reaction to Thatcher's death was mixed. While many mourned her loss, insisting she saved Britain, many others were not sorry she was dead. Thatcher's critics claimed her policies destroyed the working class and British industry, the repercussions of which are still being felt today. Another politician to die this year was Venezuela's charismatic social leader, Hugo Chavez. Re-elected president in 2012, there were growing doubts about whether he would be able to serve another term because of his poor health. He died of cancer in March, triggering days of national mourning marked by a lavish state funeral. Snap presidential elections were called and Vice President Nicolas Maduro won, ensuring the Chavez political experiment will continue for now in Venezuela. And that was our look back at some of the events which helped shape the year that was 2013. We hope you enjoyed the program. From all of us at TVB News, we wish you a happy, healthy, and prosperous 2014. I'm Sonia Artero. Bye for now.
China Ping An online motor insurance